Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Freemotion Fridays with Kate Quinn. And I've got a couple of different things we're going to share today. If you can hear me, can you go ahead and let me know so that I can continue the broadcast? I want to make sure everybody can hear and that you can see just fine. So we'll give people a quick chance to log in and make sure our broadcast is going. Okay, I can see it at the moment, so I think we're okay. Hopefully I can see the comments. Hi, Marilyn. So let me show you what I got going on here. I actually have some thread right there. Can you see that? Super fine, very difficult to see for sure. This is Superior Threads. Let me see what it's called. I think it is called Vanish. It's a very, very fine thread that is monofilament, so super hard to see. Let me show you. Okay, and I'm trying to thread it, and my threader does not work with it because it's so wily and ornery. So I'm gonna just color the tip of it really fast. Let's see, let's get some little paper up here. Don't want any Sharpie on my fabric, so you stick that there. I'm just gonna hold that in place for a second so I can get a little bit of this tip colored. Just a little. I don't need anything big, but that's really going to help me see it when I try to thread it. So now I can see it just a little bit more. Not much, right? But a little bit more. So let's thread it up. Okay. I got the shakes this morning. Oh, wait, that's every morning. It's a little tricky, isn't it? Did I get it? Oh, I had it in there and I pulled it out. Darn it. All right. Sometimes if you're having trouble threading, you can also put some white paper right behind that. Oh my goodness, I'm struggling with this. My glasses are not working. So what I want to show is how we can use this and we can do the applique work as free motion. So I'm going to try to get a little closer right there so I can get it right through the hole. It's hard when you got the shakes. I just can't do it. See if I can flip it around so it'll behave. So I don't want it to back out if I can get it through there. Okay, I'm just going to hold it and use my tweezers. There we go. Okay, I didn't make that look easy, and I'll admit it was harder than I thought it was going to be, I'll be honest. Um, but this thread can be really valuable. Now, I want to show you one other thing that I've done. There isn't anything here. I don't have any backing on here right now. So the reason for that is I want to be able to put a colored thread edging around these, but I want this raw edge to be really tacked down well. So let's start quilting this way. I'm going to unlock my machine. I do have it set for ruler work right now because I am using my ruler foot. So I'm going to start here and go around this way, and then I'm going to come all the way around the purple. And we're going to use a free motion applique style. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, I still have this blue thread here on the bottom that I'm picking up. Okay, so this is a good chance to show this. I a lot of times have trouble picking up my bobbin thread if it's too short. If that happens to you, put the needle up and down 2 times, not just once, but twice. And then it creates a little knot, hopefully. Oh, of course, with this slick thread, it doesn't behave. Okay, we'll do it 3 times. 1, 2. we're looking to have a little knot, right? An actual knot, so that when I pull this away, now I can pull that up and that bobbin thread will come up right there. Okay, so there he is. Get these threads out of here. On the back of this applique, I have some temp leaf use, which is just enough to give it a little bit of tack so that the raveling will not happen. Okay, so as we sew around with our free motion, we're going to come in a little bit and move down. And here's my other thought on this. I think it's very difficult for me to keep every one of these little lines exactly the same. So don't, right? And if you need to, you could count. As I travel around, 1, 2, 3, come in, 1, 2, 3, a little longer. And I'm going to lower my tension. It's a little bit too high. It's pulling up my bobbin. So I'm just going to make it a little bit lower. I want the colored thread to stay on the bottom and the vanished thread to stay on the top. It's not going to show as much on the green, but it's definitely going to show later. So this is kind of a blanket stitch type of deal, right? So let's make a little bit longer one. So one of the things that this will help you learn, anybody learn, is I'm following the edge with my needle, and then I'm coming up over the edge in a very controlled way. So if you need help following the edges of shapes, this is a really great way to practice it. You have a very defined edge with the applique. Okay. So it's very easy to see it, especially with this contrast. Okay. So I'm going to come down to the bottom, and here I'm going to sort of come straight up a little bit, and now I can change directions. And because this is free motion, if I don't want to rotate my sandwich, or I can't, if the quilt is big, then I don't have to worry about it. It's not a big deal. You can use your foot as a spacer or not, it's up to you. So this is not going to be ultra precise, right? Because this is not a robot, this is a person. But it is going to contain the edges of this. And if I wanted to, I could use a decorative thread. I mean, I'm trying to use this vanish thread, and actually with just the batting, I think I really need that tension to be low because I can see a little bit of the blue, but I don't care. It's fine. It's still going to look great. The blue is definitely part of this design, so it's not going to look weird. As I go around the curve, I want to curve a little bit, right? See how these are trying to follow perpendicular to the edge? As the edge is curving now, I need to be watching for that. Okay, so I'll try and go a little faster. So in order for us to get to where we need to, we have to actually quilt this. So we are quilting it, but right now this look will not go through the batting, right? Because we're going to put the batting on as soon as we're done. So try to come in right from the edge so that we can have a nice curvature as we go around. So right where the needle is touching, I want to come straight in. So vary up my lines a little bit. So I'm looking inside my foot. So right from the very center, I'll come in a little bit, and that's going to help me. Now right here, I don't want to put another line right at the tip, so at least stitch up a couple of stitches. That'll give that nice spacing so we won't have a weird two lines right next to each other. So I'm not going fast, but I have a lot of good control right here, following right along the edge. And it's about 3 to 4 stitches in between that I'm looking for. So there's kind of a rhythm as I travel around to get that shape. The path that I chose when we started is going to allow me to easily connect both of these shapes. It'll be seamless. I won't have any real overstitching of the two shapes the way that I've done it. So path is always important, and path is something you could pretty much always think about ahead of time. Because this layer is on top of this, this is the raw edge I need to protect. So as I'm going now, I'm going to start stitching this way. Plus, right here, this will capture this edge of this thread. And if I want to, I can also bring this to the bottom and tie it off just to make sure. So I'll put it on this side just so it'll stay over. There's a little thread. I don't know if you can see it right there. I'm going to cut that. I do not want any loosey-goosey threads in my design. All right, so let's see. D says, am I looking into the center of my foot? You bet I am. I'm actually like choked right up to you, to the camera. So the distance right here is not even 1 foot from the camera to there. And let's see if I can just bring you in a little tighter. So as I'm going and I'm looking right here, I am using that to control the needle position right there for sure. Okay. And again, we talked about already, not having to necessarily change my position of the quilt sandwich. So what's tricky now that we just went all this way around and I was coming in. Okay, now guess what? If I go this way, I have to come on the other side. Now, I can avoid that by going the other direction, right? If I want to, but let me adjust my foot pedal here. It's a little bit far away. My other machine has a big embroidery project on it, so I had to shuffle feet today. Let's see. Oh, Rita, sorry you couldn't sleep. I'm glad you're here. um, you know, it's tricky with Facebook. There's so many times where people will say, "Oh, your sound is bad, or this happened, or that happened." You know what? We are trying to broadcast this to all ends of the earth, and I don't know, stuff happens. Technology is what it is. So, okay, let's get going. A lot of talking and not enough sewing. Okay, so right here, a little bit in. So I can tell I'm not as good on this side. Do you find that as well? I do want to come all the way over the edge. What that does is make sure that I'm capturing that edge so that that raw edge is going to be not fraying. That's what I'm looking for. So better one stitch over than one stitch too short in this case. Okay, just trying to hold that, make sure that that little edge will do what he wants, do what I want. Okay. Well, I didn't think this would take as long as it's going to, but that's okay. It is what it is, right? You see the real deal, and you'll really see potentially how much time it took. So on this one, I'll show you after we're done. I didn't come out to the edge and actually my line sewed across the purple. And if I don't like that and that bothers me later, I'm going to find a purple Sharpie and I'll color it in so that it won't show. Right? All these little tricks that we can do. So I'm using both fingers to control the movement. Both hands are working together very gently to move the fabric at a nice, very even speed so that it will look nice and smooth. And the reason that I decided to not put the backing on this for it is I'm actually want the back to look a little smoother than this. So this is the applique, and then I'll actually do a quilted stitch. What I had thought I would do, but I just didn't have enough time, is I was going to do all of this and then cut the batting away so the hearts would have 2 layers. So that could be an idea for you as well. This will make a very clean edge that you could cut against, and that way you could have double batting on your hearts and then put another layer of batting, and then the hearts will have a lot bigger puff. They'll be trapuntoed, right? That's that style where you have that extra batting, that extra loft on your certain applique elements, and then they stand up much stronger. So, can you tell I was having trouble talking and sewing? Okay, so again, as we're starting to go around that curve, I want to try to be a little bit more aware of coming straight in from the applique and not having a big change of direction, like a 90-degree. We want to smoothly come around the circle that is the top of this heart. So right here, coming right around the edge. You know, I'm riding my finger right here almost as a guide to help me make sure that I can get a nice tight fit. I could put a little pressure or one way or the other right there on the fabric if I needed to. Oh, I zipped the spot. There's a big gap there, right? So let's go back, we'll get it. Right, no big deal. A few extra stitches, nobody will notice. Okay, wow, we're getting around. So we're really trying to keep that shape of the heart as we go around. Come down here, straight down a little bit. And then again, as we come back around this side, we do want to take just a few stitches up before we do that next line. And that's going to help not have those lines be too close together right there. Has anybody ever tried this kind of a free motion applique style? So it's pretty free form, and you could do any kind of stitches over the edge if you wanted to. This is a very traditional kind of a look to this one, but I think it's going to look good. It's going to look fun. Oh, that was a bad angle. Ah, happens. So, as I said before, I think that quilting does require a significant amount of concentration, and I recommend that you don't do it when you're tired or you've had a long night, or you just need some rest in your brain. All right, so let's see what we've got here. Let's cut this off. We'll just cut it because it's stitched in. It's good enough. Good enough for me. All right, what do you think? Do you like it? So this is superior threads that I'm using, and I'm done with it actually. So let's tack it off. I'm going to show you how we tack it off actually. Now we can just go right along the edge of the applique a little bit like that, right? Micro tacking it, and maybe even a few extra small stitches right there, because this thread is so slick and slippery and wily. We want to make sure it's very secure. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I did that backwards. Needle up. Here we go. All right, I love how it looks so far. Oh, so this thread right now, as I'm pulling it, it doesn't want to come. It's actually stretching it. So even though the foot is up, this thread does have a tendency to stretch a little bit because it is super flexible. So it's just something to keep in mind as you're working. There's my bobbin thread right there. We'll cut this all off and we'll be done. Yeah, and so you can absolutely do this with any thread. It doesn't have to be this monopoly, but I just didn't want to add an extra color because I really wanted the contrast of the purples and the greens to be the predominating accent right there. So I put this other thread on. Oh, show you monopoly. Awesome. Oh, vanish is the water soluble thread. Ha! I gave you the wrong name. Monopoly right there. So they have another thread that washes away, and you could use that for trapunto. As we said, you could stitch the heart with the wash away thread and then re-stitch it with the quilting thread, and that vanish will wash away. But this is monopoly, extra fine by Superior. Awesome. Alrighty. It does unravel pretty easily, like it spools off. So once I'm done, I want to put either Hugo's tape or net thread net on it, something just to keep it from getting all crazy. All right, let's get threaded up for this next part. And we're going to put our batting back on too. Our backing, I mean. All right, I got a couple of ideas for different things that we can do to embellish these hearts and the background. All right, I'm going to lock my machine so it's ready for threading. Not all machines have that. If your machine does have that, a threading setup, make sure you follow your manufacturer's directions. So I've done that, and it actually opens up my tension discs, and then I'm going to hold the top just so I can get this secure, and then do that last step, number 7. Okay, and there's my thread right there. It's a little bit blue. It's kind of matching for the fabric. If you can see it down here, right here, it's pretty close to matching. Okay, so then I'll take it off the lock and we'll be ready to sew. So I did do sort of a little mock-up. I don't know if we'll follow it exactly, but I'll show it to you anyway. So let's just come out a little bit. We'll give you a little bit wider view right there. It's hot here. Send you some cold weather. You can have it. I hate the cold. It's actually a little sunny today, but oh, I am not loving the cold. So what I want to do is put some echo around these, and I'm going to show you some ideas for that. This is the heart that I used in order to make the shape. This is a westerly heart, the 6-inch. Both of these are the 6-inch. Since these are cut in a little bit, I'm pretty sure that I could use this to echo around the heart. You can always free motion around it, but what I wanted to share was that this part right here of the 6-inch heart, this is a 3-inch circle right here. So if I use a 4-inch circle right here, I can echo around this, or I can just, put some markings around here to help me make a bigger area around that. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll do that right now. We're just going to start with the heart part of it and get this backing on here. I decided to be non-traditional, right? This is my backing. I couldn't do it. I looked for the red, and I love red and everything, but I just couldn't do it. It was a little too traditional for me. I felt like we needed to have a fresh take. All right, let's start with this one heart right here, and we'll start here at the bottom. And we are going to go just a little bit further away from our designs right here. Try to leave our little decorative stitching alone. All right, so we came right in from the center, and I'll do that little micro tacking right here, a little tacking. And hopefully this will be a good stitch. I'm going to change my tension a little bit. So what I want to do, let's turn it so you can see it better, is we're just going to put a little swoop and come back, and a little swoop and come back. And the goal will be to try to return right to the center area, okay? Because that's going to be the shape that we're trying to manage, trying to keep. Okay? So it's got some extra layers in there. So just reach up, and then we'll just kind of vaguely echo it down. And come back up. And maybe curve a little bit and echo back down. And now we'll just put maybe a little swirl in here that will let us sort of echo back down that heart. So what that does for me is that retains the shape of the heart a little bit. So we're kind of accenting it. So here we'll have to abbreviate it and travel right on the edge. So we're going to put a little swoop in there. Well, I guess we can just do it. We'll just come up using that foot and just come all the way down since we've already got that as a layer. And this one we'll just push up a little bit around the curvature, not all the way. and then echo back. And then we'll put our little swoop in there. And then we'll just turn around right there. Okay. And here, let's just fill it in. And there's our end right there. Okay. Okay. Scissors, where'd you go? So I'm making sure I pull the bobbin thread all the way up so that I don't have any tail on the bottom. So what do you think? Okay. I don't know, I might want to go back in and put one in. This does seem open, but let's decide after we've got this part done. All right, next. So I'll show you real quick. We can use our heart ruler, or we can use the same style that we did before. If you just want a bigger size heart, you know, mine is a 6, but let's say we don't have an 8-inch heart. We want to make a big heart. Well, then you can just print that off on your paper, and we'll just try to use this a little bit. And if we don't feel like that's working good, then we can just freehand it. So I'm just looking for that 1/4 inch. Right down here on the edge, this is a pretty straight area, so it's pretty easy to use this. Okay, so that's something you can do if you want to. And notice how now we're getting that quilted edge right there. There's a little shadow right there. So flip this over. And I'm just looking for this 1/4 inch right here. And it may not be a perfect fit, right? Because I mean, I cut this, so I don't know exactly if it fits right around the edge, but it should be close. So I can manipulate the template a little bit just to help me get the needle where I want to. So if I see that that is not the right shape, I'll just adjust a little bit here to get right on that outside edge. And then we also have just a little bit more stitching right around that edge as well, which I like. Okay, so checking right here. So half of the foot is on and half of the foot is off. So there's a little bit of a bi-level right there going on. Okay, get right into that center. Oh, love it. So now you can see we've got this puff right here, this little defined edge right around our heart. And again, like I said, if you're doing a heart and you don't have a template, then just do the same thing that we did before. Just go slowly, right around the edge. There's no big deal. Because this is a matching thread, we can actually get right into that edge right there and just sew around. As you get more practice sewing along these designs, you're going to get faster and more capable of doing it. I still don't race myself. I don't try to have my thread moving super fast. This is really more about control as I'm going around with this design. So trying to make sure I'm a little bit bunched up here on the back with my other sewing machine, so it's drifting. But try to make sure we're going straight. You know, make the whole quilt sandwich come with you like that. Okay, so you're seeing both options here. One using that template, and I could use also a circle template right here, a size 3 or a clamshell. One of the things that the clamshell will give is that it'll be a little bit smoother probably as I'm going. But sometimes I don't have a template, right? And if I don't practice, then I can't get better at this. All right, and let's close this, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to use this and come right into this design from here. All right, So I'm just going to start moving in a little bit on the surface. Oh wait, let's go up a little more. We'll get right around the edge of the heart all the way. Okay. All right, and I'll just come in from here. Now, I've shown these swirls before. I want to show you something a little different this time. If I just kept doing this like this, they would all go the same direction. They would all swirl that way. And that's not desirable. Figure eight is awesome, but we have to be able to change directions. So here, I'm going to go the opposite way. Swirl in, and as I come back out, I'll come right around and go the other way. So tuck it in, here's two. Now stop, change directions. Come in, follow the circle out. Stop, change directions. Okay. So I can change anywhere on the circle that I want to in order to make my direction go the way I want. So now we'll go this way. Tuck it in and come out. Here, let's just put some little circles around. Fill in the space a little bit. And now if I need to travel to get over to another side, I'll just come out, put a little bit more thread in those areas, and now I can go another way. Change directions. Okay, ready, stop, change directions. Tuck it in and come back around. And right here, go this way. Now, right here, I'm stopping right before I get to the very top here. So I want to give myself room for the curve. Like if I come all the way down to that other one, then how do I have room to make a curve? I don't. I'll show you what I mean one more time. Look at right here as we come around. I'm not going to come to there. I have to be able to curve around. So somewhere over here is where I'm going to think about starting my next circle already, right? Right there is where I'll swoop in. And this one has a little opening, so I'll show you. I'm going to close the opening and come where I want to go. And now I'll swoop in and put this one in there. And if it's not closed all the way, that's okay. I'll come over the top and close it here. And now we'll go the other direction so we can have a different shape. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll fill these in. Go the other way. Some are bigger, some are smaller. Since I already have a pattern of all swirls at this moment, like this whole half is all swirls, I probably will keep it. If I started doing skips over on this side, I think it would look odd, but it is good to go ahead and vary up your size. So we'll put a little swirl in here. Okay, come back out, we'll change directions, put a little bit bigger one in. And that makes it a little bit more convenient when we have to change sizes here and put a little one in there. Okay. So change directions, come out a little bit here, and now we've got another one. A little bit bigger, change directions. This one has a little bit of an opening, so as I come back around, I'm going to close it, and there's my figure 8. So this one will go the same. If I need a little baby one right here, this is a good place to put a little baby in there. Okay, travel right around the edge until I'm ready for the next one. Okay, so I think we need a little one right here, so I'll put a little one in there. Change directions here and filling that gap in right there. So it's okay if we have gaps, you can see that we do, but as long as we're touching somewhere, like this one I would have liked to touch maybe a little more, but the whole totality of it kind of has a little bit of a lacy look to it. Okay, so we'll go the other way. So I have a little space right here, just enough to maybe put a little one in there. So I'll kind of put him in tightly and come back around. And then here we'll come out, maybe another one. I think that one needs a little one as well. That would be a little too much room to leave open, I think. Okay. So then I'm going to come out so I can have a little bigger one right here. So I should put some little swirls in these little guys, right? Because they're empty. I got like one empty right over here. We'll just fill it in. We'll put a little tiny swirl. Because I think if we have one that is empty, my eye will just go right there. So better to just put something in there. All right, and then let's just put a little tacking right here, right along the circle to close it up. So that is how you change directions. That's such an important skill and very helpful to keep the variety for your design. So let's cut that. What do you think? Did you think that was fun? There is something of a rhythm to sewing circles like that, and I love it. And that rotational thing, you can see they're not perfect. I don't pretend that my stuff is perfect. I mean, I think you guys see every detail, so I would not be doing myself any favors. But I think that looks awesome, and I would be really happy to have that on my quilt, you know? It's okay that, this line goes over. Even with this bright thread, I still love it. I'm fine with it. So just let yourself have fun. Try not to worry too much about it being super perfect, okay? All right. So let's talk about this other fill that I wanted to share with you. We're going to do a little line sort of through this right here and kind of split this. So let me mark it with a marking pen just so I have a good visual. Let me grab some tools. All right. I'm going to use my air erase marker, which I love, and it's going to show up really good on here. So we're just going to vaguely put a line through there. There's no rhyme or reason to this. This is just a random decision. It's going to let us put something on this side and something on that side. So this side is a little bit more curvy, swervy, right, with the circles, and I think that I'll put the feather on this side to put a little bit more curvature on this side. So let's start right here at the top. Gotta get my foot back where it needs to be. Look at the leg of my tripod is right where my foot wants to go for sewing. All right, so right at the beginning right here, let's tack this off as we go, and I'm just gonna kind of follow this out, and I'm gonna put a heart in there. And just bring it in. Okay, let's turn it so you can see what we're doing. Let me make sure we have some questions here, if we have any questions. Okay, so we got a little heart right there. Can you see it? I know it's going to be a little hard to see, right? So let's see if we can get in a little bit more so you could see better. There we go. Okay. And I'm just going to feather that. I'm going to use this as the spine, the existing stitch line, not the heart itself. Okay. So come around. Okay. And I'm going to stretch this out and come back to the spine. So from this position, I'm actually going to come up and over and make the next one. So the second feather in this grouping has to reach a little bit further. Think about like a little ball right here at the top. This part right there is a circle. So I'm going to connect him and I'll come halfway around the circle. Okay. And stretch that back into the spine. So can you see how we're going? We're going to feather this all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so it's groups of two. The one that's at the bottom is going to reach up and make like a little ball at the top. As he stretches, I'm coming out and I'm trying to make a little circle at the top. I have to dip back down in order for the feather shape to be completed. And then pull this in a little bit. If I really needed it to be a specific size and fit right into a boundary, I could also make an outer boundary of the heart, like out here, however much space I want in order to bind this so that everything is the same. For this purpose, I don't think I need to do that. I mean, I think I can keep it a little bit freeform. So I'm just going to come out just a little bit and dip back down. There's the little circle right there. So I'm going to draw that in for you so you can kind of get the visual of what I mean. There is an imaginary circle right here, right there, right there. And I'm essentially coming back half of the circle to start. What that gives me is this shape right here. By dipping in, that's how I get this pretty top of the feather. If I don't dip in, then I don't get that shape, right? So let's see, we have to come up and stretch back, let him lay down a little bit. Dip in and around, and back up. Pull it back down to the spine. Down and back around. And this I'll come back just a little bit further and we'll just put a little baby in there. Okay, because we're kind of done. We're not going to go on the other side, although we could. Yeah, I got my line there. Oh, it's okay. I don't want to. Let's go. So watch. We're going to use our foot and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than the foot, right? Because I want to really exaggerate that echo on there. Okay. Change my hand position. I was like way over here. Get centered on your work. Try not to adjust your hand positions on the fly. So the foot is my guide, but I'm keeping that guide a little bit wide. I'm not trying to make the foot touch right at this feather right here. I'm trying to make it a little bit wider just so that I can have a little bit bigger echo. Okay. So I'm trying to get this foot to sort of anticipate coming right into that dip right there. And then here, we'll actually make this come right back in. So let's give you a little better picture of what that looks like so far. What do you think? Do you like that? I love it. I think it looks so good. It's really fun. So we're using our foot as a guide. We're just trying to make this shape embellished a little bigger. So this is definitely following along with it. And then let's put some little elements out here. Okay, now let's kind of draw this in a little bit. so that you can see what I'm thinking as I'm doing this. Where's my pen? I want to put a bigger echo here, about maybe 1 inch or so. Okay, and it's going to be free form, so I want to keep it nice and big. Right, so like right there, right there. Okay, because I'm going to put a fill in there, so I need that gap, right? Let's see. Oh, I'll have to make it some more as we get down to the bottom. But let me go over to the center of the gap. So we'll have to adjust the shapes a little bit as we do the echo. That's why I want to sew the pearls first. I think I'll go this way. These are about 1/2 inch pearls. I do want to have a little gap between the feather. I can tell that in one area I've already gotten it closer than I wanted to, but you can change directions like we talked about before, but pearls are a little bit easier if you do them as a figure 8. This is the best way, I think, to practice them. And it helps you get the size rhythm as well. So I've sewn a bunch of these with the Westerly 1/2 inch pearl, and believe me, that was a great training ground. I can actually make pearls now, and before I couldn't. You know, I couldn't make them even relatively round, and I feel like now they're much better. If you're using a thread that is matching, it's a lot more forgiving, and you can see that based on our purple over there that we did and this. You're going to have a lot bigger difference, right? This one is, if you make a mistake here, it'll be very difficult to tell. Nobody will be really able to see that. So you can see, I'm going to come down, just try and make it as round as I can, looking out in front of the needle. I'm not looking right there. I'm looking ahead to where I'm going. How much depth do I need in order to form the shape? With pearls like this, if you have a little bit more speed, it's a little bit easier to change directions if the needle is actively moving more quickly. So I encourage just a little bit more speed. And I can tell, like, this one's a little oblongy. Oh, it's fine. I don't care. Is that going to stop me? Am I going to pick him out? No. I might try to make the next one a little more slowly to get back to my round shape. And try and keep them even. That way I can have better control. Like this one was kind of flattened out. So then I try to make the next one rounder. Kind of gets me back. It's like a correction. So we'll go all the way around. Get us to the other side. I love pearl channels. They're awesome. Okay, let's get these threads out of here. And we'll go right into the green heart, right? We're not going to try to echo it. We're just going to pretend it disappears right there. Okay? Oh my gosh, I love it. So we're almost to the heart. So let's go ahead and just come over here. And we're going to do the same echo out here on the circles. I'd like to say we'd fit the feathers, but I think that's too much work. So we're trying to keep the same echo on this side as we did on the other side. And that'll help them look like they're really intentional. So like a little bit of a generous 1/4 inch with the foot. Bounce in, bounce out. Okay, now my other hand is way over here. Let's get this camera oriented a little better, darn it. There you go. I'm going to turn this a little too so more of the work is in front. Let's see, put some better light on there for you too. All right, so here we go. Again, generous 1/4 inch. We'll just try to bounce in, bounce out. The foot is that guide right there. Okay, got some extra threads there. Get those out of the way. And we'll just keep on going. So I'm turning my head a little bit to look behind. So my work is slightly canted so that I can be a little bit to the side. That way I can see what's going on back here on an angle a little bit. So we're almost there to the top. Okay. Now that's this 1/2 of the heart that we've done. And what I had planned for this other side is I'm just going to start doing something that is a contrast. Okay. So this line right here, he is going to make a good helper line. And what I think I'll do is I'm just going to put a few extra reference lines, and I'll show you why we're going to do that real quick. Where is my marking pen? Okay, here we go. I'm going to call these honesty lines. And I'm not trying to follow them exactly. What they are for is that as I start building this, I do want to keep the lines somewhat on this angle. So if a line gets off, then I can correct it. Now I can do these as straight lines. So I'll do this as basically a straight line. Just try to move smoothly out to wherever your edge is. And I'll go ahead and just go right along the edge here. We'll just base that. Now, I have this right here. I could use a straight ruler to come back if I wanted to, but this is Freemotion. So I'm just using these honesty lines as a guide. I'm trying to keep the foot somewhat parallel to that line. It's not too rigid. I'm not trying to be too, paranoid about it. Now, I can make a bigger gap, right? I don't have to keep it the same. I'm just pulling everybody towards me nice and smooth, coming across. And let's make a little narrower gap. We'll make a little narrower one this time. The foot will be our 1/4 inch guide right there. Okay. And then travel over on the applique a little bit. Now, my honesty line is working for me again, but I don't have to quilt that line, okay? I can just make a bigger gap or a smaller gap, whatever I want. I don't have to follow it. It's just helping me get the right orientation, okay? Now, I'm gonna go over a little bit further, and then I'm gonna show you. We'll put a bigger gap in here, okay? So we'll make it a little bit wider. And this is just for visual interest, right? We got all these lines. We're trying to make something straight. And I do want to have the visual right there. So let's see, I'm going to show you what I mean. I would find it hard, I think, to follow this line at this angle. So I might try to look at it more directly. And if I couldn't do that, I might make a mark. So let's go a little bit further. I want a little bit wider gap, and then we'll just come straight out. Okay. Now, if we just did all straight lines, that might get boring. So let's do this. We put a circle in the middle of our channel, and another one. And we'll make them a little wonkier, one on each side, and then one on this side. And when we're in the middle, we'll just come straight down, and we'll travel over. Okay, and now we'll put our next line in, and we'll go back to our pattern. close, far away, a bigger one. I'm getting that little waviness. If you based better than I did, you probably won't have that. All right, so let's see what we got. We got some straight lines here. This will be the boundary. We'll do the straight lines only here. And when I get to the other side, my plan will be to continue that. So we'll try to vaguely keep them the same. I'll put some reference lines in. But let's go ahead and just put one last line right here. And that'll split this whole section. So I'm just going to move my hands up again so I have better control right near the foot. And we'll just go all the way down. All right, so let's put one more fill in this last section that I think would be kind of fun. I'll draw it in a little bit for you too. Let's draw at least a couple of them. So this is a heart fill that I kind of think is really fun. One side of the heart is going to be curvy and one side will be straight. Okay, can you guys see that? Like this side will dip in and then whatever side is pulling down comes right down. Then echo that part and then you can just move out and then do your next one. And anytime I need to go a different direction, I can echo the heart back to there and then here. I can curve out and I can go into the next heart. So I can change directions any way that I want. It's vaguely like that. Okay, so we'll put that in this last little section right here. And hopefully we can go basically any direction that we want to. So we'll put a little heart in right here. Stretch that one. We'll come around this way to echo. And then we'll just come back out. Pull it back down to the center of the heart. And then echo one side. And then you can put another heart in this way. Tuck it in. And this will echo over the top this way. And if I want to put both sides in so I can change directions, that's what we'll do. So dip for the heart and come back and echo out. And then here's our change of direction, so we can put our next heart in. So I need to fill in that space right there, so I can. We'll come back over here, and then we'll put this next heart in. So here I left a little room to come out with the echo, and then we'll come to here, and we'll put the next heart in. Dip in. And here we'll fill this in with just some echoes because we don't want to have a big gap right there, traveling on that seam right there. And then here's the next heart. And a little curvature on one side. Okay, so my hands are way out in front of me now. Okay. Let's get in a little closer, get our hands in a little closer, and let's see if we can change this a little bit so you can see a little bit more. All right. So I'm just going to curve over the top right here and put this heart in this way, so we'll kind of have a different orientation. Touch and echo back over, and then just echo. Heart, pull it down to the heart and close it, and then just echo right there. And we'll come over to here a little bit. And they can be little, big, long, skinny, whatever you want. Just pull this one down so that he'll echo that shape and help get you that heart. If we don't bring it back in a little bit, then we kind of lose that. So I went ahead around this one just to get us into this seam, and then I can travel back up the seam a little bit, enough so that I can put the echo in here, and I'll put that little heart right there. And I'll tuck that one in to help get that heart shape. Around, around, and then we'll kind of bump out and we'll put a little heart right there. So right here, I left some room to come back out. So whenever we are tucking that heart in, if we feel like we have to come back out again, we need to leave room so that we can travel back out. So we'll come down here so we can come in right here. That heart will fill that space nicely, tucking in and echo. And then here we can just do a little echo and then just come back out and it will fill in the gap. All right, let's cut that real quick since we're in the margins. I think that is a very easy fill. It's very flexible. It doesn't have to be perfect. And anytime you kind of get stuck, you could travel on the existing heart or bump your way out. There you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so you can see some areas touch, some areas don't touch, some are narrow, some are wide. Nobody cares. It's perfect. Just do it your way. So that's just a fun, flexible fill that you can put in. So we've done quite a few things. I don't know if we have enough time really to do more, but random lines based better than I did, right? That's what's happening because we're going this way and this way. So we get a contra pull right here. That's what creates this. So I might just come back in and put another line in there. More quilting makes it better. Or put something wiggly in there, perhaps, if you've got a big gap. And then, like I said, I'm going to continue the lines here. And I don't know, I'll put some like little coin fills out here, something that'll kind of make this. This is very full. Let me show you the little heart fills that we did. Like it, right? Let's go out. I think we need to come over here a little bit more so you can see better. There you go. That's better. Okay, and I'm just going to hold it up so you can get a little shadow on it right there. Okay, so those are just some ideas. You know, definitely echoing is always good. Heart channels is always good. But a couple things that we learned were the monopoly for the applique with Freemotion. That was great. And you can do that with a regular Freemotion foot or a ruler foot. I just think that I like to switch back and forth, so I almost always have my ruler foot on. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day. I hope that you guys have a great weekend. I do plan to have long arm designing on Sunday, so I'll be working that the next couple days to get ready for that. And hopefully you'll join if you want to. And always good designs, even if they're on a long arm or on the domestic. So have an amazing week and happy quilting. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.